Sitting is the new smoking. You've probably heard this and seen this many times in the past decade. But is this really true? And what if I told you it isn't, but it's actually time that's a real problem? Not time itself, but time spent sitting. With enough time, it can be the reason why you have wrist pain. What? I'm a physical therapist who has specialized in treating wrist and hand injuries for the past decade. From programmers, software engineers, and other desk workers to even professional gamers and more. I've been featured on ESPN, Washington Post, published research, publishing a textbook right now, and have helped over 2,500 plus individuals fix their wrist pain. Let's first understand a bit more about what sitting can do to your body. We'll look at the position itself, then layer on the necessary context of posture, ergonomics, time spent sitting, overall lifestyle, and other factors. So, sitting on its own is not an inherently harmful position. It's a position where we are maintaining our trunk in a certain position for an extended period of time. This doesn't expend much energy, often less than 1.5 metabolic equivalents or METs, which is a measurement of energy expenditure. To put this into context, walking is around 5 METs, running 9.8 METs. So our body doesn't have to work very hard to be in this sitting position. And in most cases, we're sitting when we're programming, working, typing, gaming, and you can be in the posterior pelvically tilted position or anterior pelvic tilt. It doesn't matter. They are not inherently harmful positions by themselves. It's only when you layer on the amount of time spent in your lifestyle, your other activities with higher METs, that those postures can become a problem. Now, our body is highly adaptable. If we spend a lot of time on our feet, running, moving, etc., our bodies will adapt to that. And all of the systems of our body will respond to that, but most notably, our cardiovascular and musculoskeletal system. And so really think about this. What do you think happens if we spend 6 to 8 hours a day sitting, less than 1.5 METs, 5 days a week? And maybe a few more overall hours if you count some post-work relaxation or additional PC time, which is about 50 to 60% of our waking time spent in that static posture. Will our bodies get stronger, more resilient to external stress? Will our muscles and tendons have more endurance? Able to handle longer hours without irritating tissues? No, obviously not. It will not get stronger and can lead to deconditioning unless we do something about it. And when we're in our late teens to early 20s, youth is on our side. The deconditioning is not as drastic. For those who are familiar with our health bar framework, the sedentary lifestyle causes our max HP to reduce over time. And the goal is to always build up our max HP with specific exercises that target the muscles we're repeatedly using. And we actually created an app that can help you figure out what those exercises are based on where you're feeling your pain and your level of conditioning. And if you're interested, please grab it below. But to put this simply, our ability to handle a certain amount of physical stress on our bodies will reduce over time. And when we're younger, it might mean 1 to 2 HP per month, but as we get older and our physiology slows down, it may be as much as 10 to 15 HP a month. Again, assuming we're doing absolutely nothing. And over the past 10 years, I've actually noticed a clear trend in the physical health of many of the individuals that we've worked with. Here's some examples. And it shows that individuals are developing RSI issues earlier in life. Why? Because of how prevalent technology is in our society today and how much it has promoted a sedentary lifestyle. And actually, a study in 2022 looked at this by analyzing the lifestyle and sedentary behavior of 1,011 adolescents in Brazil. And they found that 52% of these individuals spent between 3 to 7.5 hours a day in front of a screen. And not only that, an additional 21.5% spent more than the 7.5 hours in front of a screen daily. That means this is a combined 73.5% of people having moderate to high levels of sedentary behavior. But what was more concerning was the fact that the study found that individuals with moderate sedentary behavior were 2.5 to 2.7 times more likely to have musculoskeletal symptoms when compared to those with low sedentary behavior. When you move less, you have more risk of developing injuries. And this is one of the many studies that have shown that sedentary behavior or inactivity can increase the risk of developing all types of MSK conditions: neck, low back, shoulder, wrists. And it's been shown over and over again, and what some of the best evidence shows is that the more time we spend sitting or not moving, the higher the risk of developing issues or problems. Again, when we don't move, our bodies get weaker and we have more risk of injury. And depending on your posture, what you're doing while you're sitting, and the other activities you perform throughout the day, the pain region, or where you feel it, will vary. And for most individuals who are programmers or desk workers, this means wrist and hand injuries, neck issues, low back pain, sometimes some shoulder issues. But the type of problem we end up dealing with can actually be influenced by two types of stress. The first type is what happens when a tissue or structure puts stress on another. This is called a compression stress and is often related to our posture or ergonomics. And a common example of compression stress is thoracic outlet syndrome, in which nerves can be compressed as they travel through certain sites around the neck and shoulder. And this is often the result of poor posture over extended periods of time, which can increase tightness and stiffness of the muscles, and that reduces the space for the nerves to travel along the shoulders and neck. Other examples include elbow and hand contact on the desk, leading to ulnar nerve irritation. The second type of stress is tension-related stress. This means too much pulling on a certain tissue. Tension stress is a more common problem because it involves muscles and tendons repeatedly being stressed until they become irritated. And most of the time, it involves the tendons. There's also shearing stress, but those typically represent a smaller distribution of injuries we see from inactivity for programmers and engineers. By understanding the stress, we can learn how to better treat these issues. And I'll show you how you can better approach each of these problems right now. If you have compressive stress, you want to get out of that position that leads to the tissue becoming compromised. But you also have to zoom out further to understand why the tissue is getting compressed in the first place. The posture is one thing, but the surrounding muscles may need some conditioning to reduce the risk of developing stiffness. Of course, moving more helps to avoid mobility problems in the first place. And this is the general approach taken when we look to resolve issues like TOS or thoracic outlet syndrome. We identify the posture leading to compression. We treat the underlying areas of tightness and weakness leading to that nerve compression, and we promote more movement and improved postural awareness to reduce the likelihood of that problem returning. If you have tension-based stress, it's a matter of improving how much your tissues can handle, improving that health bar or muscular endurance. And it involves reducing the amount of tension on the tissue while we're building up that capacity. This could be improving your posture and ergonomics, limiting the amount of time you're performing your activity, like typing or working or using that actual hand, and again, moving more. And if you're an engineer or programmer that's looking for an individualized wrist and hand plan that gives you the exact exercises for what you're dealing with, check out our troubleshooter. You also get access to a community of individuals who are already recovered or are going through the process of recovery with you. With direct access to us and this community, it will ensure that you make progress, so grab that below. As you can see, movement is medicine. Sitting itself is actually not the new smoking, but it may be more accurate to say inactivity is the new smoking.